Now, China's military, well, they're cleaning house. 9 top generals purged. They're charged with corruption. Michael Pillsbury is a China expert, and Michael joins me now. In your opinion, is Xi Jinping in full control of his military?
Well, Stuart, you have to understand how many power struggles in the past American experts have missed. When something like the Gang of Four being arrested back in 1976. That was a power struggle. The military was involved. They were split. Uh, Mao's wife went to prison, commit suicide. That's a real top of the line power struggle.
Whoa.
When lesser events take place, like these generals being purged for corruption, it doesn't look to me like that kind of violent power struggle. This looks more like the factional conflict about who is going to be in charge in the next 2 or 3 years in China. So I'm not as alarmed as some people are. The person who understands this the best, it's very ironic. President Trump has now had 5 summits with Xi Jinping. He knows the people around Xi Jinping. I interviewed President Trump for my next book. He has an extraordinary knowledge of Xi Jinping and the politics at the top in China. One of the things President Trump discovered, Stuart, is there's a Chinese translation of Art of the Deal that President Xi Jinping and his team have read. There's photographs of them holding the book. So each side is trying to understand the other's power struggle. And I'm afraid both sides are making mistakes. The Chinese think that all kinds of politics are going on in Washington, D.C., which probably aren't.
Our trade representative, Jameson Greer, and the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, they're now, I believe, in Malaysia. They're meeting with their Chinese counterparts. Listen to this soundbite from the two of them. Roll tape.
This is China versus the globe. It's not just on the U.S. And I can tell you that this licensing regime that they proposed is unworkable and unacceptable. So we are contemplating, if we are not able to negotiate a pause or relief on this regime, how the U.S. and the allies would respond. All options are on the table. I am optimistic. We've had a successful de-escalation, but we're going to have two days of very fulsome talks.
As the Treasury Secretary says, they'll be there for a couple of days. In your judgment, Michael, and you know this story very well, you know China very well, are we any closer to a deal?
No, Stuart. You and I covered this in the first term. There were many false reports. Sometimes the market would drop 1,000 points in one day, and then the next day climb back up because the rumor had been false. This is the 4th time now that Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent is meeting with his Chinese counterparts. It was London, Geneva, Stockholm. In each case, they did not release a joint statement. That, to outsiders like me, that means there's no deal. Now they're talking about, well, we're going to have a 4th round. This is China's last chance. In Art of the Deal, the Chinese know very well, bluffing takes place. Until we actually put the spurs on China with some kind of tariffs, probably in the 50% range, I don't think the Chinese are going to make a deal. I think they're going to stall for time, and President Trump knows this. So the mystery now is there some way that we can somehow put pressure on China to make an important deal at this summit, or are we just going to be tapped along again?
Yeah, well, we're going to find out soon. Michael Pillsbury, you know your stuff, and we appreciate you being on the show. Thank you, Michael. See you again soon. Yes, sir.